Good morning, good people. Today is Sunday, April 27th, 2025. Here we are at Department of Career Services, G.school. Let's see, G.school number 136, I think. Good morning, Maticus, Vonaticus. Are things all quiet out there? What's the status report for Fort Pratt? Field Marshal is back. Okay, well, anyway, here we are. The Field Marshal is back, but here we are. It's about 6 o'clock. My name is Edward Bevilacqua, and this is G.school. This is where we talk about the spiritual leg on the metaphorical table that we're helping you build. All quiet on the Western Front. We'll say all quiet on the Southern Front. Fairly quiet on the Northern Front. Okay, so before we get started, let us say our usual, our typical, our important thing priorities. Good morning, Miss Trinkle, wherever you are. And what not a bevy, where are you at? So I have some technical difficulties today. I got a new phone to replace my old phone, but there were a lot of difficulties and challenges, and I managed to deactivate the SIM card. As I was transferring the SIM from this phone to this phone, I deactivated the SIM. So my phone number does not work right now. My current plans after church is to go to the Verizon store in Las Vegas, be there at 10 o'clock and get it fixed. So this is the only message I can provide to Miss Trinkle, wherever you are, and what not a bevy, until I figure out how to get my SIM card reactivated. And at this point, I'd be happy just to get this one back, not move to the upgraded version. Transferring files. Okay, so, but here we are at Department of Career Services, G.school, where we talk about the important thing, which is what comes next, under the heading of what if. Mark, what if? What if we do? What if we are not just atoms in the void? What if we do have a soul that continues after death? What if Jesus was God in the form of man? What if all of that is true? And more evidence is coming out that it is true. Real experiences after death are more and more indicating our soul does not end when this body is done. This body becomes unusable, unworkable, unresponsive. The evidence appears that we have a soul. We are a soul. Not we have a soul. We're not a body with a soul. We're a soul with a body. There's more and more evidence that we are a soul with a body. And that when the body is no longer valid, the soul goes somewhere else. And there's more and more evidence that the burial shroud the Shroud of Turin is the burial shroud of Jesus. More and more chat on the internet, on YouTube, etc. AI is the only evidence. The only evidence that it's not real is the carbon dating in 1988, which is now pretty much debunked. No one is defending the carbon dating. No one's defending the actual procedure, what was carbon dated, what piece of the cloth was carbon dated, that it was a valid piece of the cloth, meaning it wasn't contaminated. Nobody's defending that, and nobody's defending the statistical data, the statistics behind it, how they came up with the numbers. That's not being defended, and it's being attacked. And there's a lot of other evidence, outside evidence, besides the carbon dating, pollen samples, dust samples, comparison to other shrouds from the same time, the rate of decomposition of the linen, other items that refer to the shroud before the shore, that kind of tend to show the shroud before the carbon dating. For example, the prey of something which is a manuscript that has pictures in it, and the pictures in it appear to be drawings of Jesus as he appeared in the shroud. There's things on the prey that tie it to the shroud. And then, of course, there's the soldaria of Oviedo, the headcloth, which has can be traced back to the 300s, and it has blood type patterns that match the shroud. So it's like there's no way the shroud could be a middle age, a 14th century fake. Can't be, because it can be traced back to the 3rd century. And then the other evidence regarding the age of the cloth can get it back to the 1st century, and there's nothing like it. There's no other piece of art that is like it, and we can't replicate it. So the preponderance of the evidence is really that the shroud is real. So what if the shroud is real? What if it is the burial cloth of Jesus? What does that mean? It means we have nothing to lose by taking it as true. We have everything to lose if we take it as false and it is true. So if we believe it to be true, if we act as if it's true and it's not true, we don't really suffer. If we act as if it's false, but it's true, we have a lot to lose. So Pascal's wager, we should act as if it's true. We should believe it's true, not pretend, not act, but believe differently. We should believe and act as if it is true. And what does that come down to? That comes down to John chapter 3, where Jesus is talking to Nicodemus. And Nicodemus is saying, why are you here? It's very clear. If you just plain meaning of the words, it's very clear. Jesus came down to tell people what they need to do to have everlasting life. Not to die for the sins of people past, present, and future. Not an and something, not a salvation, not a ransom theory, salvation theory, none of that. Just he was sent by the Father to teach people what they need to know. And then it became clear through the next 3 years that they were going to kill him. The people in power were going to take him out. And that's what he started talking about. And that is now the basis of the news story that he came to die, because he actually realized that they were not going to do what he said. The people in power, the Pharisees and Sadducees, etc., they were not going to do what he said. And they were going to remove him. Okay, so, but what if that is true? What if he came to teach us? And what did he come to teach us? 3 simple things: love God, love one another, make disciples. Take action. Don't just sit in your room reading your Bible. Don't talk about it, be about it. get everyone else to believe it too, to act as if it's true too, to get everyone else to love God and to love one another. That's what we all need to do. That's what we're called to do. How do we love one another? Well, we feed the hungry, we give drink to the thirsty, clothing, housing, help the sick, visit people in prison. Those are the things we are specifically called to do by Jesus. So if Jesus is God in the form of man, and if he did come to teach us what to do, to help us on this journey, if he did come, if he is who he said, and he did come for the reason he came, and he said, this is what you should do, then, here we advocate that you should do it. On the other hand, if you believe you are saved, we're not trying to talk you out of it. We're not here to argue with them. We say, or I say, good on you, mate. Good on you. You are saved. Good. Terrific. This is not the podcast. This is not the place for you. However, if you want to participate as somebody who's interested in other people's opinions, great. But we're not here to argue with you or try to tell you what you're doing is wrong. If you're saved, you are saved. Congratulations, brother. Hope to see you on the other side if that's what it's actually like. Super. If you are successful in the world, this podcast is not for you. This is for people who are not successful. If you are successful, good on you, mate. You made it. You did it. If you want to be here, you are welcome. You are encouraged. I believe you can learn something from the experts down in the worksheet down below. So, yeah. So that's what we got. Now, we're 12 minutes in. I think what we're going to do next week, we're going to do an intro video, put it on the worksheet down below. And in the beginning, say, if you're new here, there's a link down below to explain what we're doing on this podcast, the purpose of the podcast. Watch that, or a couple podcasts, and then just move forward to where we are today. If you're new here, watch the thing down below. We're going to just jump into the theme and meme of today, the book of today. We're going to do that. I think I'll do that starting tomorrow, because I see we're already 13 minutes in, and I haven't even talked about what we're here to talk about. So, yeah. Theme of today, hope. Hope. Advice from an 80-year-old. Keep it simple. Right, we're going to simplify this. The TED Talk for today, Amy Cuddy, Your Body Language. This was, maybe still is, the #1 TED Talk of all time. It probably will remain so, because when it was created, there might have been one new TED Talk added per week or per month, or every other week. Now there's scores of TED Talks being added every day. So it's much harder to get millions and millions and millions of views. So Amy Cuddy, Harvard Business School professor, talking about body language. And it's not other people's body language to us, which everyone knows what's their body language. We have an idea of how our body language to other people has an impact on the situation. This TED Talk is really our body language to ourselves. So stretching out, making ourselves look big, releases neurotransmitters and hormones, testosterone, which gives confidence, which is received by other people in a way that it makes them feel safe and secure, because you're confident, they're going to respond more actively to you than if you were stressed out or fearful. If you do this, you release cortisol, and that does not bode well for how you are perceived and received by others. Right. So that's huge, important one. So Amy Cuddy talks about training yourself to give yourself good body language, release neurotransmitters and hormones so that you perform better. Okay, cool. Seth Godin, Stories and Hope. Let's see how we're doing for time. Yeah, let's talk about that because that's really what we're about. Stories and hope. Anecdotes are not data. If you're looking for data, hearing a story about what happened to a friend that one time shouldn't crowd out your rational decision making. Right. So, anecdotal evidence. Oh, I know a guy that this happened to, or this happened once, compared to the data set, compared to the facts. You got to keep that in mind. Okay, this is an anecdotal story. This is the fact. So here, anecdotal stories. I brought somebody to the Lord yesterday. There's a revival happening. The data says no, fewer people are going to church every Sunday. Cumulatively, fewer people are going to church. Yes, more people are going to that church today. More people went to that church today than ever. But other churches had fewer people. And the cumulative effect of all of the people that went to church this week versus all of the people that went to church last week, even though this one church had more people, fewer people went to church. Okay, that's stories versus data. Okay, but hope is real. When someone you know is facing a difficult situation, sharing a positive anecdote about that friend who that one time made it through something just like this, that's helpful. It's not helpful data, but it's a useful look for hope. And hope amplifies our story of possibility and might make it easier for us to get to where we're going. Right. Hope, essential, missing in most of our people. On the other hand, sharing the anecdote about the time everything blew up and failed, that's not hopeful and that's not helpful. Better data is better data, but stories can and should be used as fuel. Right, right. They should be used as fuel, not obstacles, not barriers. Okay, cool. So, what else do we got? How we doing for time? 17:44. I think that's a good time to wrap it up. Okay, last Sunday of the month. A couple of days it's going to be May. And don't give up on hope. Also remember this life is but the width of a hair on our head compared to eternity. If we measure eternity by the age of the universe, if we say that equals the age of the universe, because that's when time started and that's what we've gotten to now. If that is all of eternity, if it ended today, eternity would be about 13.8 billion years. Our 100-year lifespan compared to that is like a hair on your head compared to a 7.84-mile walk. It's nothing. The things that we think are big deals in the big picture, they are nothing. They're not even nothing. They're less than nothing. Focus on the donut, not the hole. Focus on the donut, not the hole. And I'm going to say, and with that, I'm going to say, and cut.